Well, whew, boy, have I got something to share with you. I'm under the commitment to share with you my journey more or less as it happens. And I had an indescribably significant event that happened for me last night. I don't know if it is the result of anything, of months of working, or some of the extraordinary efforts I've been making lately. And I'm making extraordinary efforts lately because I'm becoming an advocate and a user of not just the cycles and seasons function, but a greater significance of the timing and rhythm of the sun and the earth in a dance. That dance is obviously seasons, but it also is part of the winter solstice, spring equinox, summer solstice, autumn equinox. There's a dance. This dance for me, by the way, has now become significant because it represents this line between not only winter, summer, or night, and dark and day. This halfway point is the equinox. It cycles through an equinox in a figure-8 pattern because of the basic utilization of the Earth going around the sun, always pointed in one direction while doing the figure-8. All kinds of science and physics around it. The equinox is literally when the sun crosses over physically the equator. But there is a principle that I'm just examining called equilux, which is the arrival of the equal light for a longer period of time, almost like the wake before the bow of a ship pushing water. There is the arrival of a wave of equal light that extends around 5 days or more right at that time period. And in physics, the reason it does this is because the curvature of the Earth allows the light to become equal before the physical planet of the Earth crosses, the sun crosses over the. I don't have a perfect understanding of the physics of the Earth, the sun, and the influences around cycles and seasons and equinox and solstices. They're all patterns in physics which we can study, but studying them is one thing. To understand their implication relative to my etheric body, astral body, soul pattern, wow, it's just really not easy to know exactly how to use it, though I am gaining in my momentum of the great respect for how to use it. And apparently this 5-day, maybe more, wave pattern where the equal light is arriving about 3 days before, 3 days after, somewhere in there. And for me, this momentary time when the light on the Earth basically is balanced between the yin and yang functions of the mother and father's family tree, and there is a masculine feminine flow, and that point of equilibrium is right here, exactly at the point of the equinox is exactly the experience we're talking about. And that's when mother's family in the dark, also which is part of autumn and winter, meets spring and summer, and then returns again, something right on that point. And I'm encouraging you to consider using it. And I've been particularly interested in what we call the 5-girl element, and that's just simply the great grandmother from the father's side of the family father's mother's mother, that corresponds to the last month of the summer, and it's the last month of 6 months of traveling through the father's family, but it's also the last month of a 12-month sequential flow. Now, I'm an advocate that we utilize month by month for the year and link them all together. I'm not going to go through that right here again, but I'm going to share with you what I've been doing, which is using the last 3 days of this entire year in an intended personal desire to take every hour of the day, at least 10 to 15 seconds an hour that I'm awake, and utilizing that hour's feeling, whether it's sunrise, I use ascending fire, or sunset, I'm using softening peace, and I'm building the 5-girl function with intention. The 5-girl function is the totality, or the unification, or the wholeness, or the oneness, or the allness. It is the compassion for all living things in the body. It's the immune system that connects everything and distributes nutrition, lymph, protection, strength, vitality, healing, hormones. This is a very powerful system that unifies the whole year. I've really been hitting it pretty hard. Last night I had, well, an unusual event. Shortly after going off to sleep around 9 o'clock at night, a little slightly later than my normal 8:30, I went almost immediately into an awakened state in the spirit world. The spirit world is not a place of dreams. It is a place of the actuality where generally our souls go at night when we leave our body. We go to the spirit world to pursue our work on whatever triggers we've had during the day, and or how to learn or discover things because we have an aspiration to learn them, which literally means as you're going off to sleep, I do several rituals to focus on what that looks like. Well, I was awake in the spirit world, and I had hours to be in a place to see the vast, vast, vast view of creation, of the, if you will, the totality of the greater universes. And the earthly one, or the material one, was only a very small, thin line somewhere in the darkened regions. Our material existence is a very thin, temporary place. Beyond that, there are countless more. What I got to see is all of that is enveloped in what I would call the womb or bosom of pristine silence, stillness, questionless bliss. I didn't emotionally experience the questionless bliss. I didn't emotionally experience the profound silence. I'm just aware of its existence. And then you look back down to the minute little thread of physical existence, and you see how minuscule it is. This little transitory experience we call a lifetime is so short, so small. because what it showed was thousands, millions of years. And everything is proceeding exactly according to the design. Within that small thread, yeah, if you open it up, there are opportunities like this to engage my experience of each one of these attributes or each one of these virtues, these feelings, these ancestors, chakras, glands, organs, body systems, that what I'm willing to do inside of that little tiny thread has an influence from there on. Wow. My experience of this just left me in awe. When I finally woke up into this world, 4 a.m. thereabouts, I'm still kind of basking in it. But all I could say is what it brought me was just a feeling of just contentment that the world is as it should be. What it also did after I laid there for a while is it just emboldened me to press ahead with greater faith, greater passion, greater purpose, greater commitment. And yes, so I'm willing to go ahead with the next 2 days before the equinox, starting every hour now, I have been, and really vitalize these places. And starting today, I'm going to start spinning my vertical axes on both sides of the family tree. What that means is, I'll count it in reverse: the head, 6, throat, 5, chest, 4, 3 solar plexus, 2 at the belly, 1 at the pelvic cavity, and you know these in some form or another as chakra systems, but they're far more than that. I'm going to take the opposites of each position, acknowledge what they are, because I've spent a month with each of them already, and I'm going to bring them together and spin them like a figure 8. At exactly this point of equilibrium, I'm going to spin them. What does that look like or feel like? I don't know entirely, but that's what I'm going to do. Because I think when this door is opened on the equinox, equilux, I think that there are things that are available for us to be able to utilize. And the probability is that my ancestors never had a chance to do that. So my number 1 son, opposite my number 1 girl, my number 1 son is mother's father. Corresponds to the lung, breath line, inspiration, number 1 son, and so on. Number 1 girl is also the father's side of the family, father's mother. She represents bone and will, strength, family. She represents earth. My number 1 grandfather represents air. And they were not genetically related to each other, or were they any part of each other's family, as far as my history can show, until my mother met my father, and then they're connected inside me, but they're not really relating to each other. So I want to relate the circulation between them consciously. So I'm going to take my 1 boy, my air, my 1 girl, my earth, feel them, appreciate them, spin them for maybe 10 seconds at a time, probably not much more than that, and then move on to number 2. Number 2 would be my mother's mother, the first step into the autumn. She corresponds to feeling, empathy, emotional independence, and she's water. She's connected to my father's father, who's fire. He's purpose and passion. He's courage and strength and blood. And that's 2 and 2. I'm going to spend them for about the same amount of time, emotionally building that up. The third one is 3. That's in the solar plexus. On the left side, it's 3 boy. That's mother's father, pancreatic function, and a series of metabolic importance. But it's also sometimes it's called the light green sword, a phosphorus light green sword of truth, metal. And on the 3 girl side, it's father's mother, liver, wood. So wood and metal at the 3, and those are the elements of the earthly realm. And then it opens up at the 4, which is for girl, mother's mother, the sometimes called the violet flame, sometimes called the filter, sometimes the spleen, sometimes it has all these other virtues and qualities. It opens to the higher world, it defends from the lower world. You've got to get familiar with that one. She's absolutely essential to any progress. That's the left side of the heart. Eventually that's forgiveness, that's acceptance, that's a variety of things, but yeah, won't go into all of them. But then her opposite, 4 boy, is the outbound experience of celebratory sharing, the multiplier of friendship, the exhibitor of natural love or fraternal love, the love that can flow between people. That's the 4 boy function. It's a very powerful, because it opens the first experience of love, but it's an earthly based love. Because I'm doing it with myself or other people, it's person to person, therefore it's natural love, versus the capacity on this place to open to a divine love. Once these 2 are more integrated, so I integrate my 4 and my 4. Sometimes I spend a little bit more time with them because I want to. That's kind of a central point. That has a lot to do with pericardium. I still like thymus. It has spleen on the yin side, thymus more on the yang side. Anyway, it's 4. Then the very curious one that I'm not so easy with is 5. 5 is in the throat. Now, the curious thing about this location, it's the only place in the body where one gland is inside of the other gland. They're whole. Now, this is also, I don't have any direct experience of it. This is where, on the 5th sphere, soulmates have an opportunity to come out of their half existence into a greater existence. And I have no direct experience of my soulmate or how to do it, but that's what I do with my 5 boy, which is mother's father's father, which is the Michelangelo of authenticity, creativity, and expression. It's a sapphire dark blue, and it's mirrored by 5 girl, which is the thymus function, thyroid regulation pattern. Thymus is linked to the thyroid pattern. We'll go into all the details around it, but it has the outbound function of the throat as well, and that's the unifier of global compassion. It's the ability to unify and sense the integrity and differentiation of all living things. Mineral kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, and other kingdoms. So that 5, wow, that opens up 6. 6 has to do with primarily the pituitary and pineal, pituitary being 6 boy, thunderous, loud transmission. 6 girl, back to the pristine silence, light, inner light, sometimes violet, pale, pink, white. My experience of it, pristine snow, skin, another sense of touch in the higher dimensions. 6 boy, yes, pituitary, brain, central nervous system. Yes, sun and moon. So sometimes I like to do the sun and the moon flirt and they kiss and, well, anyway, you never know. They do those things at the top. So 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, spinning them all individually until they all spin along like a bow tie along a central white axis. To me, the central white axis is the spinal cord in the physical body. The silver cord is what connects the physical body to the astral or spirit body. The golden cord is what connects the spirit body to the soul. Shoot. My goal in these next few days is just to do it as thoroughly as possible, because I know what I'm doing is I'm jumping on a springboard on a high dive. I know that sounds kind of strange, but on these 3 days, right before the equinox, on or about the 21st, for me it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, that's the actual equinox. I'm starting now spending these things going, but if I'm bouncing very hard, my desire, that's what I'm going to take with me for the coming year. That's why I'm wanting to build it up, build my inner strength of it, my passion to feel it, the glands, organs, body systems, and dive into it and start the 4 weeks of the first month of autumn. Now, I know some of you are listening to this. Okay, not very many, but this is a profound personal journey. You want to watch it? Sure, watch. You want to do a little bit? Experiment with a little bit. Now, if you experiment with a little bit, remember the protocol. That is your opportunity to be able to take any trigger that you set loose, because there will be triggers. What I mean by that is if you start diving into your spring and summer in the southern hemisphere, or your last of summer and going into autumn in the northern hemisphere, you're going to be moving into places that your family tree has not occupied at the level of your own aspiration. It's your personal aspiration that makes a difference. What they gave you is not insignificant, it's just almost insignificant. Because no matter what they gave you, you can clean off what was unloving, but if you clean off what was unloving, what you have left is usually something not very developed. So the actual development is up to your sincere desire to occupy that feeling, that virtue, that attribute, that part of yourself, that part of you. Connect all these together in the next 12 months so we can do it at a higher amplitude this time next year. Yep, that's right. Most people's attention span can't go more than a few seconds. I'm suggesting 4 years of just a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, and then growing. And I'm sharing with you what my actual experience is. I'm not saying that you'll have my experience. I don't even know what's going to happen to me after 3 or 4 years of doing it like this, but I am openly sharing what I'm going through, and you get to watch the results. And one day, if he turns into a gnarled crispy critter or some kind, or he vanishes. Who knows and where that guy went? But wow, what an experience to stand in a place to see the eternity of profound silence, pristine silence. Millions of years in the making. I have no idea what to do with it. But it has given me a little bit more oomph to go into the next few days and the next year. And for that, I'm very grateful. Thanks for listening. Good luck. Spin those little bow ties up your body back and forth. And that's what I would do. I'm going to be doing it with you. So report back if you actually do it. And well, if you can report back, just come on back and tell me what happens, or email me or something. Please share. Talk to you again. Bye-bye.